from DJANGO.db. From DJANGO.db, import what here? Models. So DJANGO is a package. DJANGO is what? Package. And DB is also, DB is what now? Package. And models is what? Module. Models is what? Module. Now this module provides what? Set of rules and regulations to build models. Then if you go for settings, in the settings you find, I'll tell you basic steps and all the things. You can see django dot, what is this? Django dot db. Django dot db dot, what is this? Backends. And what is the name of this here? SQLite. SQLite 3. SQLite 3 is what? ORM tool, which convert which statements? Object oriented programming into what? SQL statements. Now this is nothing but ORM tool or not? Yes, this is ORM tool, and you are writing the code. You are writing the code by following django.db. These are the abstracts. Using this, you implement it, and then this is executed, or this is converted by which one? ORM tool. What is the name of that tool? Is SQLite 3. And you find MySQL, you find Oracle, you find so many tools, which responsibility is converting all the operations written in what? Python into equivalent SQL statements. Can you say this is a translator or not? Can you say this is a translator or not? Yes. Converting which code? Python code into which code? SQL code. Converting Python code into what? SQL code. But whenever you say translator, whenever you are saying, suppose you write a code in Python, you should follow the syntax of Python or not? Yes. You are writing the code using ORM, then you should follow the syntax of ORM. If I don't follow that syntax, now this engine or this translator understand or not understand? Not understand. Then immediately it gives what? Error. Immediately it gives what? Error. So compulsory, you have to follow the rules given by ORM, right? Yes. So this is frequently asked question. What is ORM in Django, right? Maybe. You just see the, so what is ORM? See, almost all modern technologies uses what? ORM. They avoid using which statements? SQL statements. Now what is, okay, so in DJANGO, ORM stands for Object Relational Mapper. It is a powerful feature that allows developers to interact with relational database using Python objects and code rather than writing raw SQL queries. Understood? Raw SQL queries. And what is the advantage here? Abstraction layer, object-oriented interaction, reducing what? SQL writing, and then database. Yes, support. Now, this might be various from one database. Yes, different. So you required which one? Changes. In which statements? SQL statements. And it provided a tool called which one? Query sets. No problem. So these are the advantages. Abstraction layer. So the ORM provides an abstraction layer between the database and your Python application. This means you can define your data models as a Python classes, and the ORM handles the translation of these classes and their instances into what? Database tables and rows. Who's doing this? ORM tool. Okay, yes. Now I'm just writing this here. Anyway, this is one more definition. Yes. So in DJANGO, ORM stands for Object Relational Mapper. It is a powerful feature that allows developers to interact with the relational database using Python objects and code rather than writing a raw SQL queries. Okay. So what is the advantage means? Abstraction layer. Okay, one is abstraction layer, second is object oriented interaction. I said already this, but you don't require to again. So same thing is there, but not technical words. Okay, S is nothing but database dependent, right? So all these are the features of which one here? ORM. I'm just given only the list of features of which one? ORM. Abstraction layer means what is abstraction? What is abstraction? What is abstraction? Abstraction means hiding or revealing a hiding. Hiding which details? Implementation details. Okay. You don't know. I mean, see here, abstraction means database and your Python application. It means this means you define your data models, Python classes, and ORM will handle translation of these classes into database tables and what? Rows. You don't know implementation. You just write which code? Python code. You never think about how it is translating. Is it those implementation? You know it or don't know? Don't know. Without knowing implementation, you are writing which code? Python code. That is called as abstraction. How you achieve the abstraction in object oriented? By using what? Abstract classes and abstract methods. Over. Python is over. Python is over. What do you learn in Python? You have to remember here when मैं बोला था ना क्लास में ये पूरा फिर जो भी फुल स्टैक पाइथन है पूरा फिर आता जो भी आप सीखे किधर पाइथन में क्यों बोले तो जैंगो यू आर राइटिंग इन विच लैंग्वेज पाइथन जैंगो बोले तो और एक लैंग्वेज नहीं होता यार जैंगो इज नॉट अ लैंग्वेज इट इज अ फ्रेमवर्क और इट इज अ लाइब्रेरी यूज फॉर डेवलपिंग वेब एप्लीकेशन यूजिंग पाइथन पाइथन यूज कर रहे इधर कुछ यूज कर रहे क्या पाइथन ही यूज कर रहे आप व्हाट इज अ प्री रिक्विजिट फॉर लर्निंग Django Python you go for data science what you required Python you go for AA what you required Python अभी पाइथन सीखे तो पूरा इजी हो जाता पाइथन ही कॉन्सेंट्रेट नहीं करते आप लोग इसीलिए बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है सही है नहीं सो पाइथन अच्छा पढ़े तो ये पूरा इजी है फिर बोलना पड़ता क्या व्हाट इज अ क्लास व्हाट इज इनहेरिटेंस हाँ सही है नहीं बोलने की जरूरत नहीं है यार for working with ORM, that is object relational mapping. So Django provides one package. What is the name of that? DJANGO.db.models, right? DJANGO.db. DJANGO.db. So that is what it is called as abstractions. Those are called abstraction. Abstraction means set of rules and regulations. Yes or no? Those are set of rules and regulations. You follow the rules and then develop which one? Models. Or you write a Python code to communicate with the database. Then who will convert that Python code into a SQL statements? ORM tool. Is it that is translator or not? Yes. So that is abstraction. You don't require to know how it is translating and all the things, right? बोल बोल के गला चले जा रहा है यार मेरा यस एवरी क्लास सेम पढ़ो 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 मगर आप लोग सुनते ही नहीं you don't listen if you listen it is good for you only yeah? Okay. So daily Subhash is something. Arre class में please practice, please read, please practice, please read. हाँ सही है नहीं? वहाँ स्टूडेंट लाइट ले लेता हूँ ना. हाँ yes. So anyway, no problem. Yeah. Object-oriented interaction means without knowing SQL statements and reducing writing what SQL statements and the avoiding database dependent which statements SQL statements. All this can be done by using which one ORM. It means you are writing SQL statements or no SQL statements? No SQL statements. Okay. Yes. Yes. Understood? What is view? What is view? View is a function. View is a function or view is a program which receive request. Input means request. Process it and generate output. Output means response. What is template? HTML file. Template is a server side or client side? Server side. Template is static or dynamic? Dynamic. How it is dynamic? Because you can feed data dynamically or not. Yes. Who will feed the data? You. You will send data to what? Template. You insert the data in template by using which language? DTL. DTL stands for Django Template Language. Yes or no? ये बेसिक्स मालूम रहना यार. फिर अब क्या सीख रहे बोले तो Django. What is Django? Then again question mark. No, it should not be like that. You should know what you're learning. Yes. So then next is, so Django provides Django dot what? DB. Django dot DB. What is this here? Package or it is called which one? Library. Or same thing you call it as which one? API. Same thing is called as API used for developing, for building which one here? Database logic. So database logic are for building which one? Models. For building which one here? Models. Model. Okay. So what is the name of the module? Name of the module is models, models. This is separate module or not? Yes. In this module, what code you write? Which code you write? Database code. Which code you write? Database code. Using what? ORM. Using which one? ORM. Right? Yes. So Django provides Django dot DB package or library or API used for building databases, database logic or what? Models. And Django DB, see here, it is an API. So what is this here? So Django DB is used by how many people here? Two people. One is what? Developer, and second one is the person who develop which one? The person who develop which one? Translator. One is developer and one more is what? Translator. You develop it by following these rules, and these rules are converted into equivalent SQL or not? Yes, that is done by which one? Translator. So if I'm saying Django dot DB dot models, these are called which one? Abstracts. These are which one? Abstracts. And I'm saying Django dot DB dot, what is this? Backends dot, what is this? SQL what? Light 3. What is this? What is this? Translator. This is what here? Translator. Or this person is called which one? Caller. This person is called as which one? Caller. So Django.db.backend, this will taken care by which one? Backend. What is the name of this backend here? SQLite 3. That is belongs to which database? SQLite 3. Means for every database, one translator is there or not? Yes. Every database there is one translator. Why? Why one translator is required, right? Why so many translators? Because SQL syntax is the same or different? Different. Then to generate equivalent SQL statements, you require one translator or not? Yes. Okay, so you require different translators for each database, right? So django.db.backends.sqlite 3, it is just like Oracle DB. Python program communicate with what? Oracle by using which one? Oracle DB or CX underscore Oracle. So will it do the translation or not? Yes, it will translate the Python code into which code? SQL code. But here also same thing. So this is a driver. This is a driver, or this is what here? Translator. But how this driver or translator is developed? By following which one? Rules. What is that rules is? DJANGO.db. Implemented by what? Developer. Called by which one? Translator. Implemented by developer. Called by which one? Translator. Getting or not? Right? So you find a different translator will discuss that. Okay. So what are the basic steps? Now you understood up to this? Understood or not? Okay. So what is the basic steps? Basic steps to communicate with what? Database. What are the basic steps to communicate with the database here? Okay. So what are the basic steps to communicate with the database? First one is you have to do database which one? Database configuration. Database configuration is nothing but see, to communicate with the database, what you required? Generally database is a server or not? Yes. To communicate with the database, what are the basic steps? First step is establishing connection to database. Second step is creating cursor. You create a cursor or not? Yes. Third step is sending which statements? SQL statements. Okay, but are you establishing connection? No. Are you creating a cursor? No. Are you sending SQL statement? No. Who's taking care of all these things? Or then will you define, will you give some inputs or not? Yes. Because it should communicate with what? Database. Then you should define where your database is running. Where your database is running. What is the username of your database? What is the password of your database? What is the port number of your database? What is your database name? Will you provide all this information or not? Yes. That you call it as which one? Database configuration. Not only that, you also define translator. You also define what? Translator. Means you want to communicate with which database. Then you should use specific translator or not? Yes. Specific translator or specific library to communicate with that particular database. So first step is database configuration. Okay. So database configuration is done in what here? Settings.py. Is done in settings.py. It required the following. It required the following information. What information it is required? The first one is what is a database? Database what? Translator. First thing you required is database translator or database which one? Library. So this is a library whose responsibility is communicating in the database. And second one is you need to provide what name here? Database name. You want to communicate with which database? Okay, you create database, right? Where the data will be stored in? Database. In the database, where the data is stored in? Table, right? You need to give the database name. Then you need to give database what? Username. You need to define database what? Password. You need to define database where your database is running. What is that? Host. Host is nothing but IP address or the system host name where your database is running. Then your database, you have multiple databases might be running, right? Then you need to define. What do you need to define? Port number. You need to configure this. Where you have to do this in settings.py. Understood? This is the first step. You have to develop it. First thing is you have to configure the database. After configuring the database, okay. After configuring the database, okay. Second step is what you have to do. Second step is you have to develop which one? Develop which one? Models. Because how you communicate with the database using model. What is model represent in ORM? Table. What model represent in ORM? Table. Table. How you communicate with the table using model. There it is table. In class, in Python it is what? Model. So model represents what here? Table. Model represents what here? Table. If you do any operation on model, you are doing operation in what? Table. Simple. If you are doing any operation on model, means you are doing operation in what? Table. You create object of class, model. You create object of model. Store data is nothing but inserting. If you are modifying data, it's nothing but updating. Okay, you are doing operation on which one? Model. But who will convert into SQL statement? ORM tool. That's it. Very easy. So develop models. Develop models. After developing models, now you need to convert. You need to convert this into equivalent SQL statements or not? Yes. Then you need to translate it. You need to translate which one? Models into equivalent SQL statement. That process, you call it as migration. That is called as what? Migration. Migrate. You migrate from India toward US. Migrate means? Migration means you are moving from India toward US. You are citizen of US now, right? Yes or no? So here also migrations will be there. Migration means? Migration is a process of converting which one? Model into which statements? SQL statements. SQL statements. And then you execute it by saying what? Migrate. Migrations, and one more is what? Migrate. So next thing is converting. Converting what? Models into which statements? SQL statements. Now this process you call it as make. Make what is it? Migrations. And after making migrations, what do you do it? Migrate. Make migrations, and one more is a migrate. After this only you install. What do you do it? Install which one? Application, and then run a server. If you don't do this, two things, then is it possible to communicate with the database? No. It is not possible to communicate with the database, because compulsory you should generate what? Migration. One file is created and then what? Migrate it. Right? We'll discuss what is make migrations and what is that? Migrate. I think you understood these 5 steps, huh? What do you say here? Yes or no? Yes under mala question adugu chepparu. You'll say yes, but when asked the question, you don't tell anything. Okay, right? Yes. Now then first thing is we need to define which one? Database translator or what? Library. So where you define that? Now just open. What do you open here? Settings.py. In settings.py, there is databases. What is the name of the dictionary? This is dictionary or not? Yes. This is a dictionary. Now tell me, can your web application communicate with multiple databases? Is it possible to communicate with multiple databases? Yes, it is possible to communicate with what? Multiple databases. But in that case, you should configure multiple database libraries. Multiple database libraries. So, okay, anyway, we'll discuss this not today, right? Because again, there'll be a break, right? So, in the next class, I'll tell you database configuration and how to build a model, and then we'll see which operations, CARD operations. Okay, right? How to insert, update, delete, and retrieve. Django is very easy. It's not very big, complex. Understood? You understood how to write a template, view, and model. Okay, na? Right. So in the next class, we'll see model. Right. Thank you. Yeah. It is there in. It is there in. Follow here. See that previous class. Let's read the images program. Yeah. And pasting in my image part. Then it will be non-part. Is it that path is there in your project or outside the project? There within the project or yes, outside the project? Yes, I'm reading the one file image. Folder. This is folder. Yes, this is a folder. In the folder, you have images. Images. Then I'm selecting their path. Yeah. What path you have selected? This is. You need to write like this, right? Yes. Base directory. Now, where you created this static folder? In project container folder or in application folder? Project container folder. You just check that first. कहाँ पे क्रिएट हुआ ऐसे देखो एक बार देखो तो मालूम होता देखो अच्छा ये जो मेरा यहाँ पे शो यहाँ प्रोजेक्ट 11 पे होना चाहिए हाँ फिर प्रोजेक्ट 11 में नहीं प्रोजेक्ट कंटेनर ये है अच्छा मेन जो मेरी जो फाइल है उसके अंदर होना आप क्या करें इसके अंदर क्रिएट इसीलिए प्रॉब्लम हाँ